Hello everyone, I'm Siddharthan. Currently, we are in the seventh module of our hands-on machine learning course, and this seventh module is all about building machine learning models from scratch. In my previous videos, I have explained you what is the intuition and math behind a support vector machine classifier, and in today's video, we are going to discuss what is the loss function for a support vector machine classifier. Okay, so that is the agenda for today's video. And for SVM classifier, we have a different kind of loss function called as inch loss, and we will be discussing about this inch loss in detail in this video. So let's get started. So I'll just give you a quick recap of what we have seen in the previous videos of SPM so that you get a better understanding of the loss function. So we know that support vector machine is mainly used in both classification and regression problems, but it is predominantly used in classification problems, and that too binary classification, where we will try to classify the data points into two classes. Here we have the two types of data we have are these blue colored circles and red colored squares. So let's say that all these data sets data points represents one kind of data, and all these data points represents another class of data, and we are building a hyperplane. So this black colored line here represents our hyperplane, and this hyperplane separates these two data points. So this is our support vector machine classifier, and you can see the data points which are close to the hyperplane. So these data points are called as support vectors. So you can see these three red colored squares and these two blue colored circles. So these are called as a support vector. So these are nothing but the data points which lie closer to the hyperplane, and this distance is called as margin. So if you draw a dotted line along these support vectors, if we measure this distance, this is called as a margin, and this margin should be as long as possible. Okay, so this margin distance should be greater, and we have discussed why it should be a greater distance in the previous video, right, in our math video. So if you haven't watched those videos, you should watch that. Okay, so we have a hyperplane, and then we have a support vector, and the distance is called as margin. So this is the example of a linearly separable data where we can separate the data using a straight line. In the case of non-linearly separable data, we use something called as kernels. So we have also discussed about this kernels in the previous video. Now once we create the support vector machine classifier that can separate these two data points, when we give a new data point, if we see this visually, we can say that this green colored data point, new data point, lies among this data point. So we can say that it belongs to this type of data, not this one. So this is how support vector machine classifier works. It tries to find among which groups of data does the new data falls in, and using that it can classify the data point as whether class 1 or class 2. So this is how a simple support vector machine classifier works. So we have already seen the math behind this. So if we call this x1 minus x2 as our margin distance, so these are the equations of our line. So this blue color line represents our hyperplane, and this is the equation of our hyperplane, where w is our weight and b is the bias. So these two are the parameters of our support vector machine classifier, and these two are the equations of this margin lines. Okay, so this green color equation is the equation of this green color margin, and this is the equation of this red color margin. So this is the margin distance. So we have already seen that this margin distance can be calculated using this particular value, which is 2 divided by norm of w. So this is your margin. So we have discussed how we get this particular value. So we try to in order to find this distance, we will try to subtract these two equations, so this green colored equation and red colored equation. So we have discussed that in our math video, right? So our goal is to maximize this margin distance so that our support vector machine classifier can create a clear segregation between the two types of data. So that's the idea. When you have a larger margin, then the data are clearly separable. So that's the reason, and this margin should be as great as possible. So this y I cap is the label predicted by your model. Okay, so we will give the label as either 1 or minus 1, where if the value you find from this w transpose x1 plus b is if it is minus 1, it comes under one group. If it is plus 1, it is in the other group. So we are basically trying to classify the data points, and when you substitute the value of x and you multiply it with weight and add it with bias, you will get some value, and this value can be anything. It's not like it should be either minus 1 or plus 1. So it is not the case. It can be any value. So if it is generally less than minus 1, we will take the label as minus 1. If it is greater than plus 1, then we will take the label as 1. So it is just like label encoding. Okay, so you will get any values, but we will try to see whether it is a negative value or positive values, and minus 1 and 1 are your labels. Okay, so this is the math behind it. So we need to increase this margin so that we can get a prediction like this, whether it belongs to the class 1 where the label is minus 1, or the class 2 where the label is plus 1. So we have seen all these things before, right? And there is another type of aspect to this support vector machine. So you can see this two types of structures here, two types of diagrams here. So this is both are examples of the support vector machine classifier. The only difference is that there is no data points within this margin, right, in the first case, whereas in the second case there are some in this particular margin space there is a red color data point which is a class 1 data point, and in this there is a green color data point. So we call the first type of problem as odd margin, where we will try to create a margin where no errors are there, whereas in this case if a data point lies here, if a red color data point lies here, the model tend to make some errors. So this is called as a soft margin. So if we always follow odd margin, there is a problem of overfitting. So we will try to give some relaxation for our model where it can make some errors. So these are the errors made by our model. Sometimes even though the it is a green color data point, but if it lies in this region, the model may classify it as red, so there will be a basically a error in this case. So these are example of soft margin where we will try to give some relaxation to our model where it can make some errors, whereas in the case of hard margin there should not be any errors. So we face this kind of problems, and this loss function comes into play only in the case of soft margin support vector machine classifier, because hard margin basically means that our model is making 100% accuracy, and we don't need loss function in that case. So we will basically use this loss function in the soft margin cases. So you should remember this aspect as well. Okay, now let's discuss the basic now definition of loss function. Let's try to understand about loss function, and then we can move on to inch loss, which is the specific loss function for support vector machine classifier. Okay, so we have already discussed about this loss function, so this is the definition of it. So loss function basically measures how far an estimated value is from its true value. Okay, so estimated value is nothing but the value predicted by your model. Okay, so when you train your model, let's say that you have trained your model and you are giving a new new input, and you want to predict some value for this new input. So your model will make some prediction. So we will try to find the difference between the estimated value or the predicted value and the true value. So when you do that, and that particular value is called as your loss function. So for any model, the loss function value should be as minimum as possible. This is because low loss function means there is a very small difference between the true value and the predicted value, which basically means our model is making almost accurate predictions, right? If the loss function value is more, it basically means that there is a huge difference between true value and the predicted value. So the loss function value should be minimum. So, and the other important aspect of loss function is that it is very helpful to determine which model performs better and which parameters are better. So this is a very important aspect, which is choosing the parameters. So in order to choose the best parameters for our model, we need this loss function measurement. Because so what we will basically do in gradient descent is that we will try to give some parameters in the sense weight and bias value to our model, and then we will try to check this loss function. If the loss function value is more, then we can say that these are not the optimum parameters, these are not the best parameters of our model. Let's say that we are giving a different parameter value, different weight value and bias value to our model. In that case, if we get a minimum loss function, then we can say that our model is making good predictions. Okay, so that is the importance of loss function. So it is basically used in order to find the difference between estimated value and the true value, and its importance is that it is used to find which parameters are the best, or which parameters are the optimum for our particular problem. Okay, so this is the general loss function that we deal with. So this is called as a squared error loss. So loss is equal to 1 by n summation of n yi minus yi cap. Here yi cap is the value predicted by your model, and yi is the true value. Okay, so y, you can also call this as yi at, and this will be your predicted value, and yi is a true value. So this is called as a squared error loss, and we have used this kind of loss in a linear regression problems. And in the case of logistic regression, we used a different form of this loss function called as a cross entropy loss, right? In the case of support vector machine, we won't be using this kind of loss function. We use a loss function called as a inch loss function. So the reason we are using inch loss is that, as I told you before, we want to increase this margin space. So that also plays a very important role. So you need to make good predictions, you need to make accurate prediction, and along with that you should try to maximize your margin distance. So I think you remember, so this is your margin distance. So x1 minus x2, if you remember, so this is your margin distance. So we will try to find whether our model is making accurate prediction, and also we will try to maximize this distance. And whenever there is this margin related case, we will go with inch loss. Okay, so now let's discuss about what is meant by this inch loss and how this is useful. So I'll also explain you how you can calculate this inch loss when it comes to a support vector machine classifier. Okay, So hinge loss is one of the types of loss function, as I've told you, and it is mainly used for maximum margin classification model. So support vector machine is actually a classification model. We know that it is a classifier. So it is used in regression as well, but we are mainly focusing on classification, right? So maximum margin classification. So we know that this margin value should be very large, right? So that the SPM classifier can segregate the data points clearly. So we are focusing on increasing this margin space, and this is where hinge loss will be very useful for us. And now let's try to understand about this hinge loss. So hinge loss incorporates a margin or a distance from the classification boundary into the loss calculation. So even if new observations are classified correctly, then they can incur a penalty if the margin from the decision boundary is not large enough. So let's try to understand these two statements. First of all, we need to understand the statement classification boundary. So the classification is boundary is nothing but your hyperplane. So your hyperplane is the one which classifies the data points, right? It tries to see on which side of the hyperplane the data point lands. So the classification boundary is nothing but your hyperplane. So this hinge loss, this kind of loss function incorporates a margin. So margin is nothing but the distance between the two margin lines, which we have seen before, right? So it incorporates that value as well, the margin distance as well, for this loss calculation. So even if new observations are classified correctly, so even though you make correct predictions, your model, so what this hinge loss will try to do is, even though the predictions are correct, it will try to find the distance between the particular data point and the hyperplane. So it will try to find whether the data point is close to the margin or not. So it is basically telling us that so let's consider this. Let's say that there is a green color point somewhere, and it will try to find whether it is a green colored or a red colored point. So even though it is correct, it will try to find this distance from this hyperplane. So once it finds it, it can tell whether the margin distance is more or not. So that is the important aspect of it. Okay, so even though the predictions are correct, it needs to see whether the margin is high or not. So that is given in the second aspect. So hinge loss basically takes two details into account. One is whether the data points are classified correctly, and the second point is whether the margin distance is high or not. Okay, so let's try to understand this. So this is the equation of a hinge loss function, and this is the diagram. So I'll explain you what this diagram represents. So first of all, let's try to understand this formula. Okay, so this is how hinge loss is generally represented. So loss L basically represents hinge loss here. So hinge loss is equal to maximum of 0 comma 1 minus yi of w transpose xi plus b. Okay, so this w transpose xi plus b is nothing but your y cap, your predicted value. Okay, so you have this y cap, right, or y at. So I'll just go here. So this is your y at. So this is nothing but the value predicted by your model. So this value will be either -1 or 0. If it is a negative value, it will be taken as -1. If it is a positive value, we will take it as +1, right? So this is your predicted value, and the value for this y is nothing but w transpose into x plus b. Okay, so that's what we have written here. So this basically means 0 comma 1 minus yi. So yi is your true value. So true values, it can be either 1 or -1. So which is nothing but the two types of classes that we have. Okay, and this w transpose xi plus b is your yi at, which is your predicted value. Okay, so and now we need to understand when should we use 0 and when should we use 1. Okay, so basically when your model makes correct classification, when it makes correct prediction, you will take the value as 0. So you will take this value as 0, and you will minus this particular value, so yi, which is true value into predicted value. So this is basically nothing but 0 minus true value into predicted value. So when you make correct classifications, when you make wrong classification, this equation becomes 1 minus yi into yi at. Okay, so 0 should be considered when the model make correct predictions, and 1 should be considered when you make wrong classification. So the basically idea here is that when you make a wrong prediction, your loss function value will be I. When you make a correct prediction, your loss function value will be 0, which is minimum. Okay, so this basically tells us that when you make a wrong prediction, the loss function value will be I, and when you make a correct prediction, your loss function value will be small. So that is what is represented by 0 and 1. So we will consider in these cases. So 0 for correct classification and 1 for wrong classification. I'll also substitute some values and explain you how this works. So now let's try to understand this. This will make a more sense to you. So we are taking the distance from the boundary here. So we have the margin boundary, right? So this is the distance from the boundary, and in the y-axis we are taking the penalty. Penalty is nothing but your loss value, your hinge loss value. So here, So all the points in your right side represents correctly classified points, and all those in the left side represents incorrectly classified points. And we are basically trying to plot the hinge loss versus the distance from boundary. Okay, so if you just come here, you can see this line represents your hinge loss value. So when you make an incorrect prediction and distance bound from the boundary is high, you will have a very high hinge loss. When you make a good prediction, when you make a correct prediction, so correctly classified means your data point is classified correctly. So even though you have correctly classified in this particular region, so you can see this region from here to here, we have some hinge loss. So this basically means that even though you make a correct prediction, the distance from the boundary is very small in this region, right? So this is the zero distance from the boundary. Okay, so in this particular region, the distance from the boundary is very small. This basically means the margin is very small. So in that case, you will have some hinge loss function. Whenever your loss function is minimum, then we can say that our model is predicting correctly. So if you see the values after this point, your model is making correct prediction, and also the distance from the boundary is kind of increasing, right? So this is the positive x-axis, and in this region the distance from the boundary increases. So this basically means the model is predicting the values correctly, and also the data points lies at a greater distance from the boundary. So that is what is mentioned here. So even if new observations are classified correctly, they can incur a penalty if the margin from the distance boundary is not large enough. So you can consider the data point from this point, the 0 point and this dotted line. So this is what represented here. So all the data points in this region are classified correctly, but they don't have a higher margin distance. So that's why they have some hinge loss here. So if you see this flat line, this basically means is it has almost a zero hinge loss. Okay, because they are at a greater distance from the boundary. When you make an incorrectly classified data point, when the data point is classified incorrectly, in that case you will obviously have a higher loss function, right? So this is what you need to understand. So whenever you make a wrong classification, the hinge loss will be high, and whenever you make correct classification with a high distance from the boundary, your hinge loss will be very low. So but even though you make correct classification, and if the distance from the boundary is small, then you are going to have some hinge loss. So that is what we need to understand here. Now let's try to understand how this value turns out. So we will give some values for our yi and yi cap, and we will try to find this loss function with this hinge loss function value. Okay, so let's do that. So we know that this is the formula for the hinge loss, right? So 0 comma 1 minus yi into w transpose xi plus b. So this is basically your predicted value. So this value can be 1 minus 1 minus 2 minus 3, any values, right? So this yi can be only two values. It is 1 or minus 1. So yi is nothing but your true labels. Okay, and we know that we will take this 0 and 1. We will take 0 for correctly classified data points and 1 for wrongly classified data points. So let's take two cases: misclassification, correct classification. In this case, the model is not making accurate predictions, it is making some wrong classification. Let's say that we know that yi is the true value and yi cap is the predicted value, right? So let's say that the true class to which the data point belongs to is 1. So the true label is 1, but let's say that our model is predicting the value as minus 1. So this basically is a wrong classification, right? So you can also see this. So when the true value is minus 1, the model is predicting the class as plus 1. So this is basically a misclassification. So if our model is predicting correctly, both the values should be same. So the y cap value should be the same as yi value, but it is not this in this particular case. So we can call this as misclassification. And let's try to plug in the values in this loss function formula. So we know that this w transpose xi plus b is basically your yi cap, right? So I'm going to substitute the values here. So this is misclassification. So the classification is it is making wrong classification. So we will take this value as 1 and not a 0. So 0 should be taken for correct classification, and hence we are taking 1. So I'm taking 1 minus yi into yi cap. So 1 minus 1 is my yi value, and my I cap value is minus 1. So if you substitute it, you will get 1 minus 1 into minus 1. So this minus into minus is plus. So the loss function value is 2, which is a higher loss value. So if you come to this particular example, you will get the values the same 2, because it's the true value is minus 1, but the model is predicting plus 1, right? And this is a wrong classification, hence the first term becomes 1. So 1 minus minus 1 into 1, so this is also basically 2, which is a high loss value. Now let's see this for correct classification. So yi is my true value, and my true value is 1, and yi cap is the predicted value, and it's basically the same as this yi. So my model is making correct classification, right? So this is also the same. So if the true value is minus 1, the model is also making correct prediction, which is minus 1. So in that case, the first term will have the value 0 and not 1. So 1 should be taken for misclassification and 0 should be taken for correct classification. We know that. So we will take the first term value as 0 and not 1. Okay, so this will be basically like this. So now we are substituting the same. So 0 minus yi is my 1 and yi cap is also 1. So 1 into 1. So you will get 0 minus 1. So minus 1. So we know that minus 1 is a very small number, right? Whereas plus 2 is a large number. So this basically has a higher loss value, and whenever you are making correct classification, you are getting a low loss value like minus 1. You can do the same in this case also. So this is basically 0 minus minus 1 into minus 1. So minus 1 is plus 1, and so here there is another minus, so you will basically get 0 minus 1, and again the loss function value is minus 1, which is a low loss value. So the idea behind this is, when your model is making misclassification, you will have a larger loss value, and when your model is making correct classification, you will have a low loss value. Okay, so this holds true for that margin distance as well. So you can also try the different values in this case. So as I've told you, even if it makes correct classification, it also takes into account the distance from the boundary. Okay, so you can just basically give some values, like instead of minus 1, you can give values like minus 3, minus 2, and so on. So in that case, your value will be highly negative, a large negative number, which basically means the loss function is further smaller. So whenever your distance from the boundary is larger, in that case you will get a very minimum loss function. Okay, so that's what you need to understand. So if you make a correct classification, and let's say that the value, so the true value is minus 1, and let's say that the value predicted by our model is minus 0.25 or something like that. So in that case, you won't have a very small loss function value, you will have a slightly bigger loss function value than this. Okay, so this is what you need to understand about Hinge loss. So when we are making correct classifications, we will have a minimum loss function, and for misclassification we have a high loss value. And the main and important thing is that even though it makes correct classification, the distance from the boundary should be large. Okay, so this is the important takeaway from this video, and I hope everyone is sure about this, and everyone clearly understood all the things covered in this video. And in the next video, we will be discussing about how we can use gradient descent for support vector machine. And once we done that, we can move on to the hands-on part, where we can build this support vector machine classifier from scratch in Python. Okay, so that's it from my side, and I'll see you in the next upload. Thanks for watching.